Welcome. And I see a lot of names here, so it's great that so many people are part of this. Anyway, we've got two incredibly wonderful, distinguished guests today, and they are violinist Pamela Frank and pianist Emmanuel. Hi to both of you.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you.
Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, it's great to be together somehow.
Wonderful. And well, I'll start it off by just mentioning to everybody that Pam was a participant of NYSOS a long time ago. In fact, I remember coaching her in a Beethoven string quartet. And I think you were like 15, right?
Yes, your memory's great. I was 1982, I was 15, so I participated 82 and 83.
Yeah, in those days, the age limit started at 15. And it was changed to a little bit older after a few years when the kids started falling asleep in the middle of rehearsals.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, because I learned how to drink coffee during the seminar. I had never drunk coffee before. And because of the schedule of the seminar and the fact that we read chamber music for about 5 hours after every day when we got back to the Wellington Hotel, that's why I learned how to drink coffee. Oh, maybe it's my fault you raised the age limit. I mean, the underage.
Is the reason for the upper age limit is because people our age fall asleep also during the...
Anyway, so, you know, we're going to talk a lot about the Brahms Violin Concerto. But of course, we should also mention the fact that if God willing, if things get back to normal someday, and if we can have a seminar next year in person, Pam is going to be our soloist, and she's going to be playing not the Brahms, but the Beethoven Violin Concerto. Are you still on for that, Pam?
Sure, I have a year to practice. I'm good.
Yes, yeah. Yes, you do. You have a whole year.
Yes.
Anyway, but we're the reason we are talking about mainly the two pieces that we're devoting a lot of time to, the Brahms Violin Concerto and the Tchaikovsky Symphony, is because we did this 2 years ago, and there was a film made of it, and so they're going to show the film on Christmas Eve as part of Carnegie's programs, and so it seemed to make sense. And Manny, since you're the pianist,
yeah,
you're the one that should tell us all about the Brahms Violin Concerto.
Well, I will tell you one thing. It's a very good answer to people who they'll ask, you know, for you pianists, what is the hardest concerto to play? And I always say the Brahms Violin Concerto, because none of us can play it. Well, there are a couple of interesting things to me about this concerto and Brahms in a way in general. But one of the things I find fascinating is he was obsessed by Beethoven, as was everybody else. And I always see a lot of connections between this piece and the Emperor Concerto, for example. The way he has two cadenzas in the first movement. Does that make any sense to you? I mean,
explain.
Do you ever see as a cadenza? Only
that's an interesting thought.
And of course, the cadenza winds up the same way with the trill. So I find that it's a little bit of a hodgepodge between the Beethoven Violin Concerto and the Emperor Concerto, because the Emperor Concerto starts with a cadenza for the piano. And he copied that in the B-flat Piano Concerto, and I think to some small degree in this piece. In fact, I wonder if you had ever thought of actually, I guess normally the Joachim cadenza is played. have you ever actually thought of doing this? And then having the orchestra, giving the orchestra an extra chord in the A7th.
Have I ever thought of doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'd love to do it, but
why not?
Well, because he didn't write it.
No, but it's a cadenza. It's not part of the concerto. I'm just saying you could try adding it. The thing that I love about it is that then you have a choice. Do you get, sorry to be so bizarre, but does one go after the cadenza of the first movement? Does one go crescendo on the trill or diminuendo on the trill? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I personally make diminuendo.
Yeah. The reason I ask, is because the other piece that strikes me as a connection is the first movement of the Ghost Trio of Beethoven. Because once again, you have the situation where you go from and then to the G major, which is exactly what happens. And I think, and then you get out of it the same way. You know, so it's the same sequence, G to E to A. So I always find these somehow these connections, and therefore I thought it's entirely possible to actually make a crescendo on the trill and get softer toward the G major. So if you know, I mean, these are just ways of looking at it, maybe slightly weird and slightly bizarrely.
Well, it's not weird or bizarre. It's interesting, and leave it to you to always, you know, come up with these things.
the other thing, I think, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are.
Sorry, I'll stop. Go ahead. Go ahead. You go. Because I had some thoughts on Brahms' phrasing, but that's fine. You go ahead.
No. Go ahead. What are your thoughts? What?
Well, the other thing I was thinking about in connection with this piece, we're going to hear the oboe solo, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At some point. Now, what he tends to do a lot of the time is to make the second time through more expressive, he elongates. So, for example, in the E minor symphony, but when it comes back, it's and so for always this longer thing. Here also, then the violin plays, and it's a whole long thing. Sorry. So instead of one measure, he gives you 4 measures. And I think that's something that he does quite often, which leads to the idea, again, that I think you can maybe see those fermatas in a way as places for more fantasy. Does that make any sense? So that I don't know how much or how, but this idea of not being of this being a fermata rather than an exact, you know, da 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 dee da 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 dee da da, that sort of thing. I don't know. That's just, and he does that in so many pieces. Again,
well, yes. I mean, you mentioned the word cadenza. I was thinking about both the first and the second movements of the Brahms Concerto, which is an elaboration. He elaborates on the opening material. So
that's the word I was looking for. Yes.
You're welcome. So you know, and form wise, you know, in the first movement, you would expect the violin to come in with the opening material, but instead it's in minor and it's all elaborated, embellished, right? It's all variations of the opening material until you finally get to that trill. Same thing with the second movement. The oboe gets the whole tune and we get an improvised version around the tune. We never get the entire tune, actually.
We actually do.
I know, but it's all, but
it's all cut. They're all.
It's a cut and paste. It's like a cut and paste.
He
tune,
adds crap in the middle.
Right. And it's all variation. It's like all variation on the theme.
Yes.
And so then even though you and I did not talk about this, I thought about the first and the second movements of the Beethoven Violin Concerto also in the same way, which is that it's all ornamentation. The violin part is all ornamentation on the themes in both movements, actually.
Well, it's this extension idea that I find, and that's what he also picked up from Beethoven.
Yeah.
I find it most obviously, because I played it a lot, I find it most apparent in the Emperor Concerto, but it's also true in so many others, as the Violin Concerto. Yeah.
You know, just parenthetically, when I noticed that it was all ornamentation in both pieces, it made it easier for me to play both pieces. You know, because then I realized I was supposed to sort of be improvising around the skeleton of the idea instead of actually playing every note. And
I don't know if you find this, and I don't know if Jaime, I'm sure to some degree we do. I find sometimes when I'm stuck with a piece, it helps so much to think of other pieces and either for other instruments that are maybe somehow connected. And that gives you a very good clue sometimes to what happened or what you could do, you know, because obviously there are hundreds of ways. But I think it's nice sometimes to sort of think, oh yeah, because that's slightly familiar, you know, maybe I'll try this or try that. So, yeah. Well, so it's good that we agree on something.
Finally.
We agree on a lot of things. Pam, can I ask you, how old were you when you learned the piece? And I'm talking about the Brahms now.
Yeah.
When you learned the piece and the first time you performed it.
Oh, I remember so vividly. I was so excited to learn it. I'd been dying to learn it. It was in my first year at Curtis, so I was 18. And I was so excited. I remember I had like patio doors that opened out onto a balcony. And I opened those doors and I already just from the beginning was just imagining like playing to the sky, like it just wailing with it. I enjoyed practicing so much with all the doors open. Then I guess it was maybe the following year, or maybe 2 years later, I was asked, the first time I played it was in Fresno, California with Andrew Massey. And he was fantastic. And the whole experience was so thrilling, but I had not visualized my own heart rate going up in that first tutti. And by the time they're doing yada da 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 da, I was like I thought I was having a heart attack, and I almost came in a bar early. I had to actually stop myself. So needless to say, it was extremely exciting experience. And then I got to play it a lot with him actually in different places after that.
And just to mention, I haven't played it yet.
I'm relieved because it would sound
better.
You
have time, man. You have time. Well, actually, it's funny because I made the mistake. Of playing it from. I first learned it when I was about 15, and you know, practiced it for many years, but I never wanted to perform it because I never thought. I always kept postponing it. And I thinking to myself, no, I'm not ready yet. And, you know, no, maybe next year. So that was a terrible mistake because then the first time that I ever performed it, I was in my 30s. I was 35, which is really late. And I'll never forget that. I was I thought you said you almost gonna have I think I did have a heart attack. And I'll never forget sitting through that incredible introduction. And then when the yam para, when that came, it was like somebody took a knife and went into my stomach, you know, that kind of feeling.
Should we have a look? Should we have a look at the video of you conducting it?
Well, yeah, actually, since we're talking about it, we should. Can we just do this? This was, I think, the first rehearsal with Josh.
Uh-huh.
So can we play that? Practicing it and playing it for various people. Let's you know, we were going to do it in order of violins, violas, but it makes more sense. Let's do the opening first, the cellos, and then the violas. So who's playing the cello on this?
Hi,
Isaac,
sir.
it's you. Good. So can you play you play the opening, okay? Good. Beautiful. Isaac, can you try it a little bit less vibrato, not too excited, just very calm, very serene, and just like, and try to think of the whole 8 bars, not bar by bar, just the whole phrase, just one beautiful long phrase, and very quiet, okay? Great. And now let's hear the
I have a question. Should we slow down before the 4th bar?
I can try not slowing down.
No, it's just a question. We
Danny,
can.
you're not the conductor, for God's sake.
I'm just asking. I'm asking Jaime. No, I'm asking, should we slow down?
No. Try not to. Just try to play just absolutely.
Okay.
That was beautiful. Now let's hear the viola. Who's playing that?
It's Alyssa.
There you go. Okay. Alyssa, the same idea. Try a little bit less vibrato and just a little bit quieter and just very kind of an ethereal sound. Yeah, the only thing is that now you didn't play it with much expression. Before you did it, it can still be very expressive, very dolce and all that. Just a little bit quieter. That's all I meant. By when I said less vibrato. Okay, try it again. Great. One more thing. When you play the quarters, try more sustained, more legato. You know, I hear a little bit of, on every note, I'm hearing a little wah, 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 wah. A little too much portamento. Just very legato, okay? Good. Lucien, I don't know if you're there. Can you go on? Can you play from the ninth bar? Oboe, there you are. Let's hear that.
All right.
Okay, can you listen? I'm sorry to stop. Do you mind trying that again? Same idea that I was talking to Elisa about the legato. I hear it's like every note by itself. If you could just play incredibly sustained and legato. Okay? Don't punch out the notes too much. Good. That was good. That was good. Now let's just keep going here with violins now. Okay. Now who is playing? Jiso, it's you. Okay. Can you start right there? Okay. And keep going to the whole end of that. All right. Good. Now, in the whole concerto, I don't think there's anything that the solo violin has to do that's as difficult as that, as just what you played. That is the nastiest thing. Good. I'd love to hear that again. You just think of a couple of things. dum, bum, bum, bum. Those quarters don't have dots. Okay, they should be, of course, articulated, but a little bit longer. Ba, ba, bum, ba, ba, and then da, yum, ba. Those do have dots, so those could be a little bit shorter.
Okay.
Try that again, okay? Yeah, a little bit of a lift though, not exactly connected. Dum, pom, 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 little bit of a lift. Good. Okay. Now try the same thing. Be careful. Your vibrato is very, very fast. And if you could just tone it down a little bit, because when you're playing with a whole section, you know, can you imagine if everybody's doing that, it will sound like, whoa, really kind of hysterical. So just tone it down a little bit, okay? Still feel the excitement, but without such a fast vibrato.
Okay.
Good. Now, actually, when you're playing the 16th notes, there, it would be great to have to play with a little bit of vibrato, because otherwise it just sounds like so dry. It becomes much more vibrant.
Okay.
Just try it right on the 16th, okay? Good, very good, very, very good. This is so frustrating because I want everybody to play
Jamie,
together.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What bowing would you recommend for where the violins play at the beginning there?
Well, I don't I don't recommend, you know, that you do two down bows. I don't think I would do that. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, pom 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 pom, or ta. I would do up up down up up. I would do two ups.
Okay.
Because the other way, no matter how well you do it, is always going to be a big space. Da ba, you know.
And can I also ask a question?
Yeah.
How short, when you talk about the dots, you know, in the third and fourth measure of that?
Yeah.
How short would you make the dots?
Not too short.
Not too short.
Ba, yum, bum. I think the dots really mean more separation than anything. You know, it's not da 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 dum ba yum bum ba. I would actually use a lot of bow. You know, a lot of bow, but with the separation.
And then when he has carrots later, what do you do with carrots?
I eat them.
What?
I said I eat them.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what we both said. Yeah. I guess Jamie and I think alike.
To me, it's like slight accents. I mean, that's how I think of them.
Yep.
Bravo, Iso, we're very good. So you know, I'd love to go on to the second movement.
Let's do that.
Let's hear that incredible opening, okay?
Great.
I don't suppose I can accompany, can I? That doesn't work, huh?
Because there's a lag.
Yeah, there's a lag, huh?
Yeah. You can give him the opening bar, though.
I can do that.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I just realized something. Lucien, I'm so sorry. You have to wait a few more seconds. We completely ignored the bass players. And that's important.
Oi.
How can we do that? How can we do
Oi.
that? How can we do that? So who is playing the bass part?
That'll be me.
Hey, it's you.
Hello.
Hi, Logan.
How's it going?
Can you just start there at bar 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, okay?
Yes.
Same idea. Very good. Bravo. Good. I think you guys have worked on that a lot.
Just a little.
Very good. Okay. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay, now we're ready for the second movement.
All right.
So would you like the first two chords?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. We should have had a flutist too to end that. Good. Very, very beautiful. Lucian, could you try something for me? Your very beginning, it sounds, I feel it like I feel two. I feel dee da 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 dee da dee. I don't feel in one. Dee da dee da. Try and really play the whole bar. Don't cut it in two. Okay, as sustained legato as possible. I'm sorry, can I ask you one more thing? Could you try it just a hair slower? Okay. It would be great in bar 9 if you made more of a little bit more on the second one and go to the third. You're going to the F, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Try that, okay? Can you do the same thing without rushing the 16ths? Just the opposite. Take more time. Kind of just stretch it a little bit. Good. Go on. Go on. There would be great, Lucian, if you could feel the 2 bars. Don't split it bar by bar.
Sure.
Lucian, in bar 24, do you, can you not stop between the B flat and the G? Really, really legato.
Okay.
Try that. Bravo. Beautiful. Beautiful. Pam, any comments?
Oh, you know, I mean, for me to make a long phrase like this, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to have to breathe, but I'll give you a little trick that helps me. I actually take white out and I erase my bar lines because I feel like if I see the bar line, I might be tempted to stop. And so it helps me visually just to play more continuously without bar lines. But yeah, I mean, I think when you play continuously, then you can be very free within it. That's how I look at it for myself. As long as you know where the little stops are along the way, then you can enjoy the curves. and not the bar lines. That's what I do to myself. So I don't know if that helps you, except that you have to breathe. I mean, you know, physiologically. So
That's a great idea about the whiting out. I love that. That's a good
Thank you.
idea. Never thought
you
of
know,
that.
I kind of learned that. I mean, my father didn't do that, but he was so obsessed with long phrases. And when I would look at his music occasionally, I saw that a lot of downbeats had a X through it, like a crossed out downbeats. And I thought, oh, okay, that's how to make a phrase longer. So that's what gave me the idea of getting that. First, I X'd out my bar lines, and then I just got rid of them completely. So I'm going to give credit to Claude, not me.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question about one thing? I know nothing about the instrument. How much dynamic range is possible?
Well, the was relatively limited.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, of course, it's hard to tell on the video anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things about this particular melody is there are a lot of A's in it.
Yes.
And I keep thinking, you know, maybe we should almost decide which A should be more than which other A. You know, so that's something you can decide, because anything's possible. You could do ta-ra-dee-ra-dee-ra-ra-ra-ra, or you could do ta-ra-ra-dee-ra-ra-ra. Either way is possible to go. But I'm just saying, if you could almost decide which direction you go in and maybe exaggerate the direction, that might be, you know, just the same stuff that I have trouble doing all the time. I do the same thing all the time. I also don't differentiate enough. so I think probably we all need to exaggerate those things, you know, and then it'll maybe sound right. Or if it's, you know, that's, otherwise it's beautiful. Yeah.
Manny, I just had a thought about that, because I was actually thinking something similar in the first movement theme.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
And so it's good to think about which ones to ghost.
Sure.
To bring out.
Yeah, it's also the range, of course. It would be, so if you, for example, decide to go to the second half of the bar, that might be very nice, because then you can show the difference between and then you know what I mean? So it's, sorry, I'll put the light on. So I'm sorry. So it was getting dark and I didn't realize. So sometimes it's just the range, you know, when you see the note goes higher, sometimes it means maybe more expressive, sometimes maybe the opposite. One could also, I suppose, do which is what doubtless Vladimir Horowitz would have done with that phrase. You know, but just I'm just saying that sometimes the dimensions lower and higher, and you know, when it's smaller and when it's bigger, if we can exaggerate those, I think that could be very useful. Right? I never do enough. Never. I mean, I always hear.
None of us do.
I always hear a tape of my playing and say, you know, again, pfui. So we have to keep trying to expand without going over the top.
Can I ask, is before, because we have to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah.
The next session is about to start.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. Does anybody have any questions? Something that you're dying to ask either Pam or Manny? Doesn't have to be about Brahms either. Well, don't all speak up at once.
Well, there's not, you know, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Manny, Pam, thank
No,
you so
it was-
much for
It
being
was
here,
fun.
for doing this.
It was fun seeing everybody.
Really
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you. And thank you guys for playing so well. And
Yes.
thank the rest of you for listening so well.
Yes.
It was the best way to be together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
Pam,
so
I'll give-
everybody have take care, and we'll go on to the next one. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank everybody.
Thank you. Bye.